Hallo miteinander, I'm Gishady6 and this is Touhou Koukishin. Last time we were told to meet Ryunosuke Morichika. This is where he lives and boy oh boy is it amazing. It is such a whimsical wonderland with beautiful lighting and the most endearing rubbish lying everywhere. My favorite set piece here has to be the jiggling sunflower with the sunglasses on. See if you can find one of it, there are several. But really now, when I saw the Korindo in a preview before the game was out, it simply wowed me. It was another strong factor that made me want Touhou Koukishin so badly. It's funny, isn't it? In reality, people would be shocked and call Ryunosuke a chaotic hoarder in dire need of help. But since this is a video game, we can praise the astonishing detail of his shop with no remorse. And I foreshadowed it so much, now we are finally here at the only shop in the entire game. Oh, I do find it funny how the over-curious Sakuya almost steps out of line here and opens up the package. But yes, the first visit to here is mandatory. It will only start a conversation to fulfill Remilia's fetch quest, but yeah, beyond that, we can always return here now in between stages to do business with Ryunosuke. As he will tell us shortly, the quality of his stock will improve from time to time, so never forget about this place and do check in regularly. Okay, before we continue, let's get right back in there and see what he offers. On that note, we can talk about the basics of shopping in this game. Ryunosuke will always have 9 items for sale, 3 of them will be of common quality, and each of them will belong to a different type of equipment, of course. The next 3 are of superior quality, in pink text, and will once again cover all equipment slots. They are far more expensive than the common white ones, but they're also much better. They're pretty much the only ones I ever buy here. There are also 3 items of rare quality, for example the prop knife. Those are joke items that carry negative stats. You know, in case you want to make the game artificially difficult. You can wear those and that makes you worse than if you were using no items at all. Next up, selling. You may have infinite carrying capacity in this game, but there's little point in carrying a lot of useless, outdated stuff with you if you can get some nice change for it instead. By the way, there are also sorting options in this game, both for when you're selling items and your normal inventory. We can see them right here. It's a feature that's been added with patch 1.30, pretty nifty and helpful. This will pop up whenever you hit the button that normally uses your second skill. I will sell the rest of our load off screen. For now, there's one more thing of interest in the Korindo, right here in front of us, the gambling machine. We won't be using it just yet, as it can be game-breaking in a way. Still, keep it in mind for another day. Before we jump back into action, we want to buy a better headdress. Now, whenever you exit and re-enter Ryunosuke's shop, his selection will be re-rolled, so if you have a bit of tenacity, you can force your luck with him. There were in fact 2 visits prior to this one that I simply cut from the video, to save us some time. But yeah, on the 3rd attempt, we got a really good headdress. Alright, at long last, we are back at the waterfall of the 9 heavens, looking for Aya. Sakuya can tell from here that the branch office nearby is still abandoned, so we'll be going all the way this time. No unexpected fade-outs, I promise. So, the most intriguing thing about this stage to me is that it was already a location you visited in Kengeki Muso. In fact, until about a quarter of the way through, the 2 stages are nearly identical. Players of the predecessor will in fact feel some pleasant nostalgia here, but also won't be bored as there is still plenty of original content. Peering ahead, we can see that this stage is mostly a vertical climb, featuring all sorts of gadgetry like moving platforms. We do have to watch out. A false step or a careless jump can send us on a long deadly dive all the way down to the very foot of the waterfall. I'll have to say it again here, neither Sakuya nor Remilia can swim in this game, and will drown immediately on any contact with water that is more than knee deep. While we're still near ground level, I want to tell you something else about Remilia. A fundamentally different thing about the two characters' stories is that they operate on different times of the day. It is the dead of the night for Sakuya right now, but if we were Remilia, we would be going here in the daylight. Now that might lead to a bit of a contradiction here. When exposed to sunlight, vampires tend to burn up and die. Of course, the Touhou-verse has always given Remilia a lot of leeway in that regard. When she has a parasol, it is perfectly safe. Often it is carried by a certain almost slave, for example in the box art of this game. Since it would still be very difficult for Remilia to adventure under these conditions, Ankake Spa has cooked up an excuse. Get this. In Remilia's story, she gets a special super sunscreen from Renosuke, so potent that it would freeze a normal human to death. It is stupid, cheap, and I absolutely love it. The power of the sun, the ultimate bane of the mythical Western vampire, overcome by a bottle of sunblock. Only in Touhou, only in Touhou. So, those propeller platforms sure are helpful, aren't they? They were installed by the nearby Kappa, a technologically enamored bunch if there ever was one. That background info I learned from Kengeki Muso. The platforms are supposed to help visitors get up the waterfall. So far, they're doing their job, aren't they? There's just one tiny problem with this. The Kappa didn't really talk this over with the more conservative Tengu. Visitors are not welcome. So that is why Yomu in the previous game had to fight both Momiji Inobashiri and Aya, of course. There is a good possibility Sakuya has to as well. Just now, we have entered a cave system leading deep into the mountain. This is about the point where the stage becomes new for everyone. This is also not the only cave of its kind, nope. We are going to enter and exit the mountain several more times, and that leads to a pretty good atmosphere, I find. It really gives the stage a good sense of progression and exploration. You can see the caves as milestones, the only way to really segment the stage, as it has no transitions. It really is just one large board. Since we've just had it on display again, I do enjoy using Cleaning Maid. There's something about it that I haven't told you yet, something that may make it even better than propelling silver, which we have also seen by now. It's not just the fact that you can move around during your swing, you also produce a strange pull on all your enemies with it. I can't exactly explain why it's able to do that, it simply does it. Maybe we'll be able to get into a situation later where you can see that effect more clearly, and if we do, we'll pick back up on that subject. Right now, we've got another cave to venture through. A dark, moist cave that benefits all kinds of unusual growths. I do find it fitting that in those, you fight more floral and fungal enemies, rather than creatures. As in, more swinging vines, large mushrooms, and also spitting flowers. Spitting flowers aren't all the same, by the way. There are 3 types with different attack behavior. You can distinguish them by the color of their bud. There are purple ones, green ones, and orange ones, but let's not go over them in detail right now. Instead, let's enjoy the view. I hope this won't make any of you hurl. It is a long way down, but I think this is a very cool stage. The waterfall is so refreshing, and totally makes up for the fact that it's not all that action heavy. It is quite a strong contrast to the claustrophobia-inducing library archives, isn't it? No, let's not go back there. I have said way too much on those. In the end, this stage is very impressive. Perhaps even too impressive. Story time. The first time I played through this game, I had the graphical settings toggled way high. Much higher than the ones we are using for the Let's Play now. When I got to this stage, the frame rate started stuttering really badly. It is indeed a very big area with an abundance of water effects, so it was just too much to handle for my machine. It was unplayable. I had to tone it down in a few spots. It is understandable though. The resources Touhou Koukishin requires are unusually high for a game coming from the doujin scene. Now, I don't want to bore you with gigabytes and gigahertz and gigawatts, but to give you an idea, Touhou Koukishin is in fact more difficult to run than Skyrim. Yep, not joking here. Though it's not exactly a fair contest, as it's almost 3 years younger than Skyrim. I've compared it with a few more mainstream games that I have. It is about the same as Borderlands 2, and requirements are slightly higher than South Park: The Stick of Truth, perhaps the fairest comparison. Now we have reached a curious construct. First things first, we need to get rid of this red flower fairy before she gets on our nerves. But yeah, on the sides you can see ranks with sitting cushions. What does that mean? At first, I thought this was an arena. You know, the Tengu might be the kind to enjoy some bread and circuses. But that is not actually the case. Instead, it is a worshipping ground for the Moria crew. Yes, if you keep an eye out for the shadows on the ground, you will find out that Kanako Yasaka's rope-like ornaments are spanned above. So yeah, the Tengu are praying at this plaza. Perhaps in the hopes that their long Pinocchio-esque beak noses shrink. I could have confirmed these structures for you with the help of the camera, but I kind of forgot. You know what? I can catch up on that and post a screenshot of them into the forums. I want to remind you again that there is Deathwater below us. We've already been doing a few jumps over it, during which you might have noticed that in my play I've been a little bit timid and overcautious. The platforming here isn't hard at all, but you don't want to mess up because of rushing. Dying during a stage makes you lose about 10% of your current money, and you don't want that. What you also don't want is knowing that you only failed because of your own hastiness and arrogance. It is not a pleasant feeling, so let's keep being careful. The shallow water in here is not at all dangerous. It'll only cool our feet and ankles a little, no worries. The white porcelain vase we picked up, by the way, is another one of the for sale only accessories. It goes for less than the mysterious picture, only 2,000 I believe, but we'll still gladly take it, won't we? Now, remember the special effect I mentioned Cleaning Maid had? Here it's really noticeable. The large mushrooms and the spitting flowers cannot move on their own, but still we are pushing them around. I really don't get how our sweeping broom has developed powers akin to Marvel's X-Men, but I can't complain. It does make the attack considerably more effective and accurate. Okay, only a few more steps separate us from the fresh outside air again. Whoops, don't want to leave without getting that vase first. So, one thing I really like about the Waterfall of the Nine Heavens is how much it feels like a natural wonder, and how adventurous it is to scout it out. It really is the closest thing Gensokyo has to the Niagara Falls. It also has so many fun little gimmicks, like this platform carousel. And in a few more moments, we will encounter magical bounce pads. It really delivers on being a playground. And as a nice change, it doesn't feel hectic at all. There's one design flaw about this stage that doesn't bug me a whole lot, but it might others. It is very difficult to keep your combo in a lot of spots, because too many gimmicks, too few enemies. Well, looks like we botched that jump. Or did we? Down here is a small secret area, very easy to miss. We didn't gain much out of it, but it's not even meant for treasure. It is actually a shortcut. You can get there by taking a blind leap to the left upon exiting the previous caves, and it'll save you a lot of time. I briefly pondered upon doing so, but we would have missed so much, including this nice carousel ride. Boy, the contraptions of the Kappa sure are wacky, as if this is some kind of carnival. We are getting really close to the end now, but we may not let our guard down. Just up ahead, I fell and died in a test run because the spitting plant from up above hit me and knocked me off the platform. It was this cheapskate right here, not this time, pal. That was one embarrassing moment, I tell you. It was a green-budded spitflower too, which are the easiest in my opinion, as their seeds pop with a delay. It would have been so easy to avoid, but we are past that now, and it's that time again. The time where we bring up the menu and gear up for the boss. Not too many changes this time. We are using a twist knife that we have found earlier in the stage, a very good one. And our skill composition is the same one we've been using for Star Sapphire. The person we encounter is no Tengu as it would have been expected, but rather the short Oni Suika Ibuki. Oni are another type of demon from Japanese folklore, ones that don't get along well with Tengu, I believe. You have to wonder what she is doing here. I think the answer could be picking a fight with whoever, because that is what Oni like to do. Whatever you might say, that pipsqueak can't do much, right? Oh, you'll be surprised. Oni have powers that may even exceed those of gods. And this pipsqueak happens to be among the mightiest of her kind. So with that out of the way, Suika's fight is extremely easy. I must be driving you mad with all these mixed messages, am I not? Let me explain. As powerful as Oni are, they are also extremely laid back and playful. This confrontation is nothing but a stupid game for Suika that she isn't taking even remotely seriously. And it shows. Her attacks are clumsy, predictable, and lackluster. She only has very few of them, and none are elaborate and flashy like Wriggles or Mokos. She does hit hard, I give her that, but puts so little pressure on you. It is just incredibly easy to counter her. It might get dangerous if you decide to tank hits, but we are driving our usual hit and run strategy. That makes it no problem at all. And we did it. We have moderately entertained little Suika. Therefore she will not wipe out our pitiful existence. Hooray! Just so you know, that is about as difficult for her as stepping on an ant is for a child. Suika also casually remarks here that she is not the culprit. There's one more thing you need to know about Oni here. They may be vulgar and brutish, but they are practically unable to lie. I have to throw it in there, I do love this line of Aya. She is so foolish. As I was saying before, Oni have zero sense for intrigue, so if Suika says she is innocent, she is 110% innocent, no doubt. Aya, on the other hand, does not have that excuse. She will have to defend her actions towards us. Was there any ill intent in her journalism? That is the question. While this unfolds, I want to commend the creators of this game on something. They've had Aya shyly peer from the residence in the back over the whole conversation. That is where she is, and with that clever plan, they avoided having to make a model for her. One of my teachers always said, never be slothful, but always lazy. Well played, Ankakespa. It cracks me up how this goes on. We don't always have time to verify our sources. Oh, don't you now? Gonna say this as neutral as I can, lady. You need to overthink your business practices. Nevertheless, even under pressure, Aya confirms the existence of the red mist and the monster. This must have been quite a tiresome interrogation, especially with what I said earlier, Aya being all the way in the back. It must have been a shouting match, a long-distance call you could say. Sakuya, the paper reports nothing but the truth. What? I said the paper reports nothing but the truth. The sailor only had a single tooth? No, could you come a little closer? What? Yeah, kind of like that. For the end of the episode, another name is dropped, Remus. The Shrine Maiden of Paradise may in fact become relevant, so let's keep her in mind. For now, I'm Geshady6. This was Touhou Koukishin, and next time, Sakuya in Wonderland, a stage Lewis Carroll might have enjoyed. Bis bald!